In 1658, London saw its first tea ad. A Leaf's global saga began. Tea arrived in Europe, priced like precious treasure. Tea was first sold as medicine, costing as much as gold. A queen's dowry made tea the height of British fashion. Tea spread from aristocracy to the wealthy middle class. Boiled tea water became an accidental savior in filthy cities. For decades, silver flooded east to pay for tea. Europe was bleeding money. Tea imports exploded, creating an insatiable demand. Britain had little China wanted. The trade was one way. Silver was the only currency China would accept. In 60 years, Britain paid China £27 million in silver. Europe lost a fortune in silver, mostly for tea. Adam Smith warned this silver drain threatened the national economy. High taxes bred a massive black market for tea. An estimated 2/3 of tea in Britain was smuggled. The tax was finally cut, but the silver problem remained. Britain found its answer to the trade deficit, opium. The trade was balanced with a pernicious article of luxury. Opium exports to China exploded, reaching 40,000 chests. Opium's value nearly doubled that of tea exports. The opium trade reversed the flow of silver. China began to bleed. Silver scarcity crushed Chinese peasants with hidden taxes. Silver drain caused deflation, strangling the Chinese economy. Lin Zexu warned the emperor China faced existential crisis. Lin Zexu made a stand, destroying thousands of opium chests. The decision for war passed by a mere 9 votes. We are fighting for the protection of an infamous traffic. Gunboats forced open China's market. The treaty imposed harsh terms, costing China dearly. After the war, Britain bought less Chinese tea, not more. Botanist Robert Fortune embarked on a secret mission: steal tea. Fortune detailed his plant espionage operation in his journals. Tea plants, seeds, and knowledge were shipped to India. Wild tea was found in Assam, proving India could grow it. In India, tea met the Industrial Revolution. Tea in India was grown by indentured labor on vast plantations. London capital flooded into the Indian tea industry. Railways built by Britain connected gardens to ports instantly. In 1866, Chinese tea still dominated the British market. 1886, Indian tea surpassed Chinese tea in Britain. By 1903, Indian tea held a commanding lead. In 1888, India became the world's top tea producer. The price gap narrowed. Consistent Indian tea won the market. Marketing redefined Indian tea as superior and modern. Chinese tea exports collapsed, falling by over 2/3. The price of Chinese tea crashed, destroying its value. China's tea empire collapsed within a generation. Farmers abandoned tea for subsistence crops. Tea went from China's export pillar to a marginal product. This was not an accident, but a calculated economic war. Britain didn't just make tea. They defined what good tea was. Blending created a standardized, predictable British taste. Origin brands like Darjeeling became synonymous with quality. London became the undisputed center of global tea pricing. Today, China is again the world's largest tea producer, but the power to set prices still resides in London. In brand value, Western companies still dominate completely. Even international tea standards are set in Britain. The paradox: China makes it, but the West controls its value. The tea war blueprint is the blueprint of modern economic war. In this cup, you taste history, power, and global change. Taste the aristocracy's fascination with Eastern luxury. Taste a working-class family's yearning for safe water. Taste the increased tax burden of Chinese peasants. Taste the sweat of indentured laborers in colonial gardens. Taste the brutal logic of global trade competition. Taste the invisible hand behind the rise and fall of empires. The leaves tell fortunes, and this fortune is of a world remade. Historians call this the perfect case study of early globalization. Commodities connect the world. Trade transforms nations. This is the world history of a tea leaf. Bitter. Sweet. With a long aftertaste. 1 pound of tea cost half a year's wages for a craftsman. Tea moved from luxury to necessity in 3 stages across a century. In just 3 years, Britain's deficit hit 2 million silver taels. 1/3 of Europe's silver supply drained to China. Tea was a fiscal necessity, but also a fiscal disaster. Britain established a permanent base in China to secure its tea supply. The century's total silver loss was a staggering 170 million. European mints worked overtime, only to send their product to China. Britain's wool industry had no market in China. The trade list showed a stark, one-sided reality. The docks witnessed the endless one-way exchange. Smugglers created a shadow economy to avoid the tax. 1773, the British East India Company monopolized opium production. Opium was the ideal trade good, dense, valuable, and addictive. In 20 years, Britain sent 400,000 chests of opium to China. The silver-copper exchange rate was a hidden knife. The emperor faced a choice: tolerate opium or confront Britain. 23,700 chests worth 12 million taels were destroyed. A fleet sailed east to defend the right to sell opium. Treaty ports became windows for foreign influence. China lost control over its own trade taxes. Skilled Chinese workers were crucial to India's tea start. Machines replaced skilled hands, lowering cost and quality control. Plantation scale dwarfed traditional Chinese farming. The news marked a symbolic victory for the British Empire. On the store shelf, the hegemony shift was complete. The collapse left behind ghosts of a once great industry. The 19th century structure persists in the 21st century market. The war is in the past. The lessons are for our future.